Richard Allen's produced a lovely little book called Coastal Birds, which contains 18 different birds that you can find along this coastline, and they're beautifully illustrated with little woodcuts. So we've got things like lapwing and oyster catcher in there, avocet, which is one of his particular favourites. So I'm going to go down onto the Orwell and see if I can find any of these, and that will be if Lyra stops squeaking her toy. So the Orwell Estuary is used by ships and boats of all shapes and sizes, from huge commercial vessels to pleasure craft and the Thames barges. But it's extraordinary in that it has this woodland running right down to the saltwater margin, so a beautiful estuary. And here's the black-headed gulls, which are actually more of a chocolate brown-headed gull really, with a red beak, quite a small gull, and that chocolate brown colour does go after the summer when they molt into their winter plumage and they just have a dark smudge. So that's tick number one. And here we have shelduck, a pair of shelduck here, a male on the left and a female on the right, and these have their young in burrows, rabbit burrows often, so that's quite extraordinary. But they are very distinctive because they have a red bill, which none of the other ducks do, and this beautiful chestnut black and white. So that's the male. It has a very knobbly bill, and the female's bill is quite flat by comparison. So that's tick number 2, and you can see the male left and female right there on that. So here's the oyster catcher, again another very distinctive wader. So you can see a very sort of thick orange bill, almost looks like a carrot really, and this black and white marking. They're very vocal when they're in flight or sort of worrying about their young. The only wader in Britain that still continues to feed its young once they're fledged. All the other ones just have to fend for themselves, and it's moved up into the salt marsh here because the tides come in, so just poking around. So that's the oyster catcher, wonderful bird. Tick number 3. Now this one, I think it's a cormorant. It certainly looks like it to me, but it was so far out in the estuary, and it's caught a fish. I don't know whether that's an eel. It's pretty long, whatever it is, and it's really struggling to digest it. But eventually it gets on with it, and that is gone. So hopefully, tick number 4, cormorant. And some Canada geese have arrived with their goslings, and they've come up onto the shoreline to drink from a little freshwater running stream there that's going down into the estuary. So they're just on their way through, really just taking advantage of that, and off they head. But they're not in my book, so I can't claim a tick for that one.